Well, today is Flag Day. Okay, but what else is it? Army's birthday. So yeah.
Army birthday?
So I want to say thank you to the Army because I'm retired Air Force. So without you, there would be no us. So thank you for that. You know, we evolved. You know, just like man always has done over years, right? We've evolved. So went to the Air Force. I come from a long family of Army people. Grandfathers in World War II.
Can you introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm Sean Barnes. I'm the new IT director. I'm your new CIO. So for those of you that hadn't met me yet, I know I've met a lot of the directors already and various people just walking around, but I'm the new guy. So
Welcome.
if you want to, when you get ready, you can come berate me about what the IT department owes you or whatever later. But we'll do that later. But as I was saying, I'm also retired from the Air Force. I did 25 years from high school till 2012 is when I hung it up. But yeah, so thank you, Army. Today's presentation is about Flag Day, and I got a few facts. We're going to start with a few facts, and then we'll go into the progression of how the flag came to be. So for those of you who didn't know, the flag can always be flown. There is no law against 24 hours. It just has to be illuminated. So the flags that always fly are at the White House, Fort McHenry, and the Iwo Jima Memorial. I know a lot of people was taught this in grade school. It was like, oh, Betsy Ross sewed the flag. She didn't. She was a seamstress, and she did other flags, but flags for ships. So I didn't misspell colors because it's from the British term, ship's colors. It's believed a guy named Francis Hopkins was the original flag designer. He was also an original signer of the Declaration of Independence. He was from New Jersey. They found his drawings, a PhD candidate by a guy named George Hastings from Harvard. He found some drawings in the Library of Congress that showed that he had originally designed it. So that'll be the new take. I don't know when that'll get into the books, but there's still 5 flags on the moon. So does anybody know about the time, what year they were put up there?
69.
69?
That's the first one, first 2.
I watched it on TV when I was 4 years old.
There you go. So here's all the missions that put flags up there. If you notice, you got a missing one in between, right? So for those of you that are not old enough, Apollo 13 was supposed to go to the moon, but a tank exploded, so it made a loop around and never landed. So there's actually 6 flags, but only 5 made it. The current flag that we have is the longest running flag that we've had. All the other flags have been like short periods, like 1 year, probably no more than 10 years prior to now.
Why is that?
Adding states.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. That's in there.
All right.
Okay, so when 2 or more flags are flown with the American flag is always up on top. Some basic flag etiquette. The colors, we know the red is for the hardiness and valor. We know the white symbolizes the purity and innocence of a founding country, and the blue represents the vigilance and perseverance for justice. The current flag was designed actually by a 17-year-old high school student, mind you, in 1959, so he's probably about 70 now. But one of the facts I did find out about it is that it was 1,500 submissions, and his teacher gave him a B- on the flag. So he went to her and asked her, he said, if I win, will you give me an A? And so he got his A, but he got his A the next year because it wasn't adopted until 1959. So this is the first flag, and when it was started with the 13 stars and 13 stripes. So the next flag, does anybody know how many stars and stripes was on that one? The one that came right after that. Who said that? 15? All right, give this guy extra donut on the way out.
All right,
That,
Marvin.
that was correct. Originally what happened was after the initial colonies, which would represent the stars and the stripes, the next year, after 3 years, they went in and they added Kentucky and Vermont as two states. So they added actually a stripe and a star for each. So at one point, it was 15 stars on the flag, as well as 15 stripes. So looking at that, it was like, well, this is going to get kind of big. So later, Congress passed a new law when, after the Louisiana Purchase in 1803, and we started adding a lot of states, they changed it to where, okay, keep the 13 stripes to represent the colony, and then we're just going to add stars. We're not going to make this flag really big. Being a Louisiana native, I was like, hey, everybody was Louisiana at one point, so we more than doubled the country with the Louisiana Purchase. So then we went to the 21 star when Illinois came on board, then Alabama, then Maine and Missouri. With that was the reason, let's see, 24. So with 24, as we expanded, Missouri was a slave state that was admitted as part of the Missouri Compromise, which started to create a balance. So it was Missouri was the slaveholding state, and Maine was the free state. So as we're edging toward the Civil War, there was a balance in the country at one point. So it was like, if this state was admitted as a slave state, this state would be admitted as a free state, which just basically meant slavery was prohibited. And then Arkansas came on board, and it joined the Union as a slave state. It was also carved out part of the Missouri Territory. So Missouri actually extended a little further down at one point, and then they carved Arkansas out of it from the Missouri Territory. And then Michigan came on as a free state, but then I found out that Michigan was supposed to be admitted like back in 1803 with Ohio, but there was a land dispute, and so once they corrected that land dispute, then it came on board later. President Andrew Jackson helped save face by giving Michigan an Upper Peninsula piece, which looks like it sticks into Canada. So with that resolution, made everybody happy. Then we added Michigan. And then Florida. But Florida was kind of a little weirdo state. We know it still is, but it was a little of a weirdo state. So it was admitted in 1845, but then it succeeded, and then it came back in, later after the Civil War. It seceded in 1861. Then in 1846, Dan's.
Hell yeah!
There we go. I know.
Texas!
Yeah, I was waiting for that. So Texas, the Lone Star State they said broken away from Mexico. Well, I don't know. I think there was a war over that, but
It was a big war.
it was a big war. Yeah, over that. So, but it became one of the 48 contiguous states. Later, you had Iowa admitted, and Iowa again. That was all part of Louisiana Purchase. So Iowa was part of Louisiana as well. Not a whole lot to say about that. It was admitted as a free state. There was just not a lot to say about Iowa. I'm sorry. If you're from Iowa, I'm sorry.
Corn.
Corn, okay. They got corn in Illinois too, but Okay, so then we go on to Wisconsin. And a weird thing about Wisconsin is that it was rejected 4 times before it became a state. So kind of interested in there. I was like, I don't know. I guess we didn't really want cheese back then or something. I don't know. Then California came on. And California came on because California had a lot of gold starting to pop up. So they made California a state really fast. It was like, hey, they got money out there. So it wasn't long before they added California, fast-tracked its admittance. And then on the eve of the Civil War, Minnesota was added. And again, not a lot to say about Minnesota other than Prince was from there, so, you know. I like Prince, but that's all I had to say about Minnesota.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's too cold. So then we add Oregon, which was added as a free state as well. Kansas came in, so, you know, our brethren next door. Surprisingly, voter fraud was nothing new. Apparently, there was a thought over voter fraud and whether the state would be admitted as a slave state or free state in its admission. So it was admitted as a free state, but you know, it was just one of those things. Then West Virginia, and the reason why you had West Virginia and Virginia is because of that, because Virginia was more pro-Confederate and the West Virginia side was actually pro-Union, so they split the state up, and that's how you end up with the 35th state. And then we have Nevada. The great thing about Nevada, and I'm surprised it's not the tech hub, but when Nevada became a state, all 175 pages of its statehood was sent via telegram. So this was the first state admitted using technology. So it was done for the time pretty rapidly compared to what it had done before, you know, Pony Express and the papers back and forth, da-da-da-da. Then Nebraska, my arch enemy because I went to OU, so, you know. And then Colorado, and I didn't know this. I knew about the Louisiana Purchase, but when Colorado was admitted, it was actually part of that Louisiana Purchase. So Louisiana was big enough to where it extended that far out. I didn't even know it reached all the way to Colorado. I knew it went to Oklahoma, but I didn't realize that until I did this research. And then this flag flew for for 13 years after adding Colorado. Then we go to the 43, which then added a whole bunch of states up in the Northwest. So kind of like when I got to Missouri, I didn't realize this part of the country existed per se. There's not a whole lot up there, you know, in those areas, but they were added in. And then we admitted in 1890, and it was 5,000 people short Wyoming was 5,000 people short of a 60,000 person requirement to become a state. So it took them a little time. They had to kind of jump in after the fact because they should have been in with this group, but there wasn't. They end up having to move some people in there or have some kids before they became a state. Utah became a state, but in 1896, but they had to renounce their polygamy belief before they could join. So I don't know if I'd want more than one wife, but you know, that's me. And then Oklahoma. So, and believe it or not, the school, OU, the school was there before the state became a state. So, well, yeah, I figure you're a UT fan, but you know. Let's see. Then New Mexico and Arizona. They were the last of the 48 contiguous states to join. So that was it. That covered the whole CONUS. So then we started with 49. Anybody know who 49 was? Alaska. Yep. So then we had Alaska, changed the flag again, and then the final time we changed the flag was Hawaii. Now, this is the end of it, but how many more stars do you think we're gonna add, we could add? I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but how many more stars do you think could be added to the flag?
4.
How many?
We have 4 or 5 territories out there we could add. We can keep it at 50.
Just give me a number. Just give me a number. How many do you think more could be added?
3.
3. 9. 9? No. No. There you go. There it is right there. There could be 56 possible territories that actually are up for statehood. These 2 have already passed referendums for statehood. So they could be added. Just depends, as well as these. And that's the end of them.
Do you know why the District of Columbia was not admitted to the state initially when everything was put together?
Yeah, originally it was supposed to be just for congressional hearings and stuff. It was supposed to be apolitical, but people moved in. First, it wasn't. It was only supposed to be populated by your senators and congressmen and those people, and then people moved in, and so. Now, it's a problem because now you live in an area where you don't have any representation in Congress, and so it's that's why it's a point of contingency.
Does the Coast Guard not exist?
Yes, the Coast Guard does exist. I'm sorry, I wasn't going to put the Coast Guard, the National Guard, all those guys, because in time of war, where does the Coast Guard fall?
Well, they're still part of the Armed Forces. Title 10 of the U.S. Code says so.
What part of the armed forces do they fall under when they doing war?
They follow it as part of the Navy. They still have their own flag.
Exactly. There you go. It was too many flags. So there you have it. And I put the newest one at the bottom, our newest branch. We're spun off of my branch, the Space Force. So, and that's it.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. There's refreshments in the back.
So, real fast, I want to follow up there. Something I read this morning about our flag that kind of touched me, and I just wanted to share it with you, is that our flag is a symbol for the future. It's a flag that allows you freedom to make your own decisions, freedoms to do things. And we still have a lot of issues in our country, and we are solving them, but we are solving them as one group of people, as Americans, trying to come together to work out who's doing what, how we're doing it, equality for all. That's what that flag stands for. It doesn't mean we have it, but it means that's what we're working for. And so while there are people in this room who have served in harm's way to make sure everybody has the right to pursue their own dream, their own pursuit of happiness, know that while we are far from perfect, there's not another nation out there that can give an individual the liberties, the intrinsic values of freedom that this flag represents and symbols in our country. And I know we got Hollywood people all the time saying, if you elect this guy, I'm leaving. Please leave. Go away. As I know you'll come back. Because we are one country where everybody fights to get into. Very few people want to leave. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Beat me up later if you want. But Sean, thank you very much. We welcome aboard, by the way. So nice to have you. Please make sure all the donuts are gone before I get back there, since I don't really need them.
For those of you that don't want advanced diabetes first, there's actually some sausage rolls if they're not gone already back there too.
All right.
And I want to thank my IT department. Raise your hands, Austin, Jeremy, everybody. Yeah,